or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Tuesday morning edition of the Roundtable Show with your hosts, Rick and Wayne. Come to you every Tuesday morning here at WGNS Studios, and have some great guests on today. Wayne, how are you, buddy?
Doing very well. Happy to see this rain. Hope it goes on for
all day,
several hours, or like I said, all day.
Brian came in wearing his weather shirt, and I was like, yes, sir, this is a great day for that.
Yep. And I think the Titans reported for camp today.
They did.
They start practice tomorrow, and high school and collegiate football about to get into full swing. So I'm about to hit my season, so I'm ready to go.
You ready to go? Got your cleats out? Ready?
Well,
cleaned
they're
up?
hung up. About the only thing you could do is look at them. So, but really looking forward to football season. MTSU's got a new coach. UT looked like they're continue to improve, so it should be hopefully state championship for 6A continues to go through Rutherford County, and see what else comes along.
Shout out to Coach Mason. He sent several of the players volunteering to do community work, and I think half the team showed up, but they were up here in Murfreesboro at the farmers market.
Wow!
And he's going to make it. He's going to make them relevant, you know.
Well, they've just seen a whole different mentality of participation and getting blue out there, and I'm happy to see that. Thanks for mentioning that.
Yes, sir.
So you're right. This morning we've got great guests. We have former state representative Donna Barrett with us this morning, and she has worn and continues to wear several hats, and you've served this community so well, and of course you've brought Mr. Ronnie Barrett with you, and we're always glad to have him as well, and look to maybe have a program with him in the near future. But again, thank you so much for being with us.
Wayne, Rick, thank you both for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. Don't often get to come this way anymore since I don't serve in the General Assembly. We always had an opportunity to address the public. So this is a good welcome home. Good.
We always try to get our guests to talk about, in this first segment, growing up here. And of course you've had a strong history of community participation as well, and maybe this first segment just do something you probably don't do very often and talk about yourself.
Well, thank you so much. I didn't grow up here in Rutherford County, but I got here as quick as I could.
Okay.
So in all of this, I'm going to end up telling my age, so I'm going to blame both of you for that. But I grew up in Shelbyville, or Chevel if you're from there and can mispronounce it.
Right. It's close enough.
It's close enough, but you can tell the locals from the non-locals. Yes, I remember campaigning out in Milton, and I was trying my best to be prim and proper, and I walked up to a couple of ladies sitting at spaghetti dinner, and of course, the first question is, where are you from? So in my best voice, I'm saying, well, I grew up in Shelbyville. And all it took was, no, you didn't. I said, well, yes, ma'am, you're correct. I grew up in Chevel. After that, I was believed, and things went along quite well after that. But no, I did grow up in Chevel. I came to Smyrna in '86 to get ready for college out at MTSU. So Rutherford County's been home for quite a few years now, and it's a wonderful place to live and to bring up a family and to represent. So I'm honored to be here. When I came to Rutherford County, there's so many things here that you can get involved in, and I jumped in early on. We had a group here for those of us that were around at that point in time, and not a lot of activities for our young people to get involved in. We started a group called Dry Dock, and it was a teen non-alcoholic club. It sits now where City Hall is. It was an old, I think it was a car lot. Of course, it is in every corner now in Rutherford County.
Exactly.
But we opened that up. All the counties, all the schools, high schools in the county got together, raised the funds, and staffed it. And for several years, and I was on the board as a representative from Smyrna. So we had a teen center here that gave everybody something to do and participate in, because all we had was the what is now Premier 6. It wasn't Premier 6 at that point in time. We didn't have that many theater stations there. So if you wanted anything to do, it was going into Nashville. So we brought something here, and it was great to, within my first year, get involved in the community and participate and give something back. So that was the start of what I think has been a lifelong process of giving and getting involved.
Yes, ma'am. Siblings?
Have a younger sister, we're small, but it's a nice family. Then, of course, I adopted 3 sister-in-laws and brother-in-laws when Ronnie and I married, so it is a wonderful family. Actually, we just completed the Barrett family reunion and had probably 20 of the cousins there, and I think I know our family history better than the Barretts do at this point in time. Fortunate to have 2 bonus children in Chris and Angela, and then 3 wonderful grandchildren.
That's pretty cool.
The grandchildren, for sure. That's
They
spoil them hard.
they tend to run me ragged.
Well, they're all getting. 2 of them are in college, or one will be starting college this year. The other one is already a junior at Lipscomb, and then we have a 16-year-old. So for you drivers out there, I have a new kid with a driver's license. So beware.
So what sparked your interest in the political side of your journey?
Well, I'm going to blame it on my pastor. I grew up at Victory Baptist Church in Shelbyville.
There you go.
So anybody that knew our pastor, Brother Tedder, knows that local issues were always discussed. But if you grew up in a Baptist church, you also know that you don't miss a Wednesday night service. So when we show up at church one Wednesday night, and I was still able to sit on my dad's shoulder, so probably 4 or 5 years old. And the pastor said, "We're not holding church service tonight." Well, that didn't get us off the hook. We all had to go down to City Hall and express our views on an issue that was before the city council at the time.
Wow.
So there's somewhere in my mother's scrapbooks a picture of me sitting on my father's shoulders at City Hall expressing our views as citizens on a particular issue that was before the council. So I grew up in it, and it wasn't the talk of the dining room table all the time, but we were always aware of what was going on. So it just became natural to stay involved, stay aware, and fast forward to mid-20s, I was trying to find a way to get involved with more young, like-minded individuals, and I ran across the Young Republicans. And anybody that knows me, if you ask me to serve on a board or if I get involved, it's feet first all the way. So we got involved with the Young Republicans, and before long, I was a vice chairman of the party, and within 2 years running for office. So hence came politics.
Of course, Rick and I both have served not on the level, of course, that you have, but I like to tell the story of when I decided to run for the school board, walking out of a commission tour of Riverdale High School. Former Commissioner Bob Bullen put his arm around me and said, so I'm glad you're going to run. He said, but you just need to know that you'll hate your campaign in July. And it was so hot. It was so humid. I hated my campaign in July.
Well, I was fortunate. Mine never got started till after August. At that time, my first race was in '98. There were no serious primaries on the Republican ticket. So, I got to enjoy not having to be out in the heat on a day-to-day basis until after the August primary race.
still can be hot in August and September here in Rutherford County.
Yeah,
no
you're
doubt.
right about that.
So in '98, there was still, because I can remember growing up, the Democratic Party was kind of running the show. It seemed like through that mid '90s is when that tide started to turn. So you were kind of in the middle of all that, right?
In 1994, we had the first Republican elected since Reconstruction here in Rutherford County, and that was Mike Lyles.
Right.
Mike served for 4 years and then was beat in 96, I guess. I guess Mike had served before 94. He lost in 94. We had won. 94 was when we picked up a lot of the federal seats. And Mike had served from 90 to 94. So from 94 to 90 till 2000, the seat was held by a Democrat. Actually, all our seats were. So in 2000, when I had my winning campaign, I was the only elected Republican here in Rutherford County.
You know, I guess I've slept since then. I didn't recall that. That's pretty cool position to be the only one, or to be the beginning, pretty much.
In hindsight, yes. Trying to serve in that position, not so much.
Well, I can remember, we talked about it earlier, but when Captain D's happened in 2000, that we were trying to get money raised to get a reward higher and higher and higher. So we went to the state level, and they said, hey, you're going to have to talk to your state reps locally and see if they'll stand behind it, so when we get this thing to go to the state. And of course, I was busy doing that, but I remember the higher ups coming back and saying, you know, one side was looking at it this way, and I always voted, and I can remember my parents, we moved here from Delaware, and they were blue chip Democrats through and through in Biden land in Delaware, of course. So, but I guess I hunted and I fished, and I got on the police department pretty early, and always went the Republican side. But I remember them coming back and saying it was one looked at it one way and another looked at it another way, and we had to walk a fine line with that. But ended up getting some money out of the state to help, and that's what ended up solving that crime. But I can remember that vividly, and that was in the early 2000s. So.
Well, you talk about the two sides looking at it differently. I can tell you that divide has gotten even larger.
Oh, man.
And ironically, during the 10 years that I served, I had some good friends on the other side of the aisle, and they're still friends of mine. A lot of us have retired now, but many of those that were my friends on the opposite side of the aisle are now voting Republican.
Like-minded.
And that party is no longer the party that they represented. So the divide between the two, it's a very clear line, if ever, than ever before.
Do you have particular legislation that you were just so passionate about that you just fought tooth and nail for during your time?
A couple of things I was very proud of. First of all, for memory's sake, when I ran in '98, the income tax battle was hot and heavy. That was one of my stands. We also were battling then, as we are still now, illegal immigration. So when I got elected in 2000, I still took the stand of being opposed to a state income tax and then stopping the illegal immigration issues that we had going on. And for those that can remember back that far, in 1998, when I first ran, we had a governor, Sundquist, who was opposed to a state income tax. By the time 2000 came around, he was for state income tax. Try running that race. Nonetheless, we won on the ballot. We won on the ballot with that issue, among others. So I always took those stands and was very proud that during my first term, we had the vote for the income tax, and it failed. It was quite a fight, quite a night. And then we also had the issue of giving driver's license to illegals.
That's right.
I'm proud to say that I was the only one that voted no on that piece of legislation. It passed, and then it got revoked. And I carried the legislation to revoke it. And we took away that right that they had given. We had folks coming in from other states.
Oh, they were lining up.
Getting state driver's license,
Right.
then taking those back because there was reciprocity at that time with little oversight to the other states.
That's right.
So I was very proud of those two efforts. But during the rest of my time, my colleagues, both on both sides of the aisle, elected me to serve on fiscal review, and then my Republican colleagues elected me to chair bill review. Now, what those two committees were in the House, for fiscal review, we reviewed all the state contracts that the state entered into that was below $250,000. We were the oversight, and until I got on there with a couple of others, it was just a rubber stamp committee. You'd meet for 5 minutes and 10 contracts would go through there, and they all passed without question. I started reading the contracts. Gee, what a novel idea. And during the 8 years I served on that committee, we returned, I think it was $8.9, no, we were $13 million back to the General Assembly, General Fund in over expenditures. Monies that didn't need to be allocated, just bloated contracts. So very, very pleased for that aspect. And then for the bill review, after a bill makes it through first and second reading and we're ready to finally vote on it for the last time, I would read all the bills and meet with my colleagues the morning before any session and explain to them what the bill did that they were about ready to vote on, or the bills. And that could be anywhere from 15 bills to 200 bills we had on the calendar.
You know, something that always kept me a little perplexed was the captioned spot. You know, that you had a bill that had a spot, and then eventually, before the end of the session, that spot was taken by a completely different bill. And I thought, that is an odd way to do business, I thought.
Well, it's better than the way they do it on the federal level. When we have caption bills, you open a specific section of the law.
That's right.
So it could be as broad as education, but anything that it changed to had to relate to education.
Okay.
So we were limited with caption bills. They could change wildly as to what type of issue within that topic it addressed. On the federal level, it doesn't have to be germane to the topic at all. They can stick anything and everything onto a bill. At least in Tennessee, we have to stay true to what
That
chapter
section.
you open in the
Yes, ma'am.
code book.
Yes, ma'am.
Was the number of lobbying that goes on there when your tenure up there, or are we just hearing a whole lot more of it now, and it was still there back then? It just seems like you can't get nothing through the state now without this lobby firm or that lobby firm, even to the point to where Rutherford County's had to hire their own lobbyists now to speak our voice, when I thought it was our elected leaders. That's why we elect them, is to have our voice at the state level. Is that something changed?
Lobbyists have always been there. I think what you're seeing now is, and we started seeing this with the income tax battle, you're seeing more and more people pay attention. And particularly here in Middle Tennessee, where your elected officials come home every night, where your news, the news covers it. Nashville is our station, so they're going to be there covering it. If you are from a small rural county, the Daily may get around to it. The daily newspaper may get around to covering it in the week's paper, and by then it's old news. Here, you can know what's going on immediately. So I think there's just been an uptick in the attention that people are paying to things. Again, we had the income tax battle, and when something affects your pocketbook, you're more apt to pay attention and call your legislators and make a statement about it. So I think it's that, but no, the lobbying has always been there.
Social media in politics is just mushroomed to something I never expected, but it can be brutal.
It can be. I'm glad I didn't serve during a time when that is so prevalent. I remember, of course, I didn't even have a Facebook when I served, or maybe a placeholder for it.
MySpace.
I remember MySpace. I didn't have one of those either, but
I wish I knew
blogs
my
had just
password.
started coming. Blogs and podcasts had just started towards the end of my session or my term, and I'm glad not to have had that. The most I did was press releases that went out and sending out mass emails about what we had accomplished, or if we needed input on something or another. Much easier to get those out than to respond to social media.
So there's really only about 90 days in a year that a legislator serves. So 7 months is you're going to board meetings or serving on boards and things like that. But with the sessions that fall in, it blows me away to hear our locals, and being that they come home every night, wanting us to drive to Nashville and meet them in their office up there during that time because they said they're so busy.
The time I was up there, all my time was spent reading the bills, getting prepared, just doing the work.
Yep.
Meetings back here were always easier, but it is more than 90 days. I remember the first 2 years I was there, we were in session 1 year through August and 1 year through September.
Wow.
With the income tax.
With the income tax battle that was going on. So to hear that they have goals to get out by April 1st and, if we're here till April 15th, that's horrible.
That's right.
We were just getting started in April. I do think sometimes things get rushed too quickly,
Yeah.
because then you have to come back. And I've gone back several times since I've been out of office, as I have an interest in legislation, and go, you went too fast on this. We need to go back and revisit it and change what you did.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit of time given to something could help. Maybe a happy medium between April and August.
Yeah.
So how does special session work?
When you have a special session, it's called by the governor, and it has to, it's specific. Whatever he makes the call for, let's say it is the income tax. That's the only thing that can be discussed at that point in time. No other bill can be brought up on any other topic, voted. Now, they'll bring bills just to make hay and make news. But the only thing that can be voted on is the issue that the special session is called for. There is no time limit on it, but everybody wants to get in and get out as quick as possible because that cuts into life, work, campaigning, everything else that comes along with it that wasn't counted.
As a representative, I mean, every 2 years, I thought 4 years passed pretty quick, but I can't even imagine having to run every 2 years.
It feels like it's every 6 months. It is, you barely get over session, and now you're starting to run for office and campaign. So I wish it were longer. It should be. The problem you're going to run into is in order to change that, it takes a vote. Actually, it's constitutional. It's in our state constitution. So
Right.
A constitutional amendment would have to be proposed. And hay would be made with legislators trying to protect themselves and safeguard their position and benefit themselves. It's actually a benefit to the people, not having to go through these campaigns every 2 years. Every time we turn around, we've got another ballot of voters, and voter apathy, we've experienced it in the past. Not so much right now. I think there's a lot of interest in campaigns since 2020, but I'd love to see more of a turnout. And if you're voting every 30 days, it seems like in an election year, people forget or just get tired of, I just voted. I've got to go do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. You listen to former state rep and I guess current election commission board member, as
Yes.
well as you're on our Middle Tennessee Board of Solid Waste.
Correct.
Is that what it's considered as? We're going to take our first break and we'll be right back with you in just a minute.
Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates.
This is Stan Vaught. I'm a lot like you, a husband, father, farmer, auctioneer, and community supporter. I'm now a candidate for school board. In the last cases, Walter Hill, Milton, Leanna, Oakland, and Siegel communities. I believe in community schools, vocational education, and getting education back to the basics. I'd appreciate your support for school board.
Early voting going on now through July 27th. Election day is August 1st. Paid for by Stan Vaught for school board, Stan Vaught treasurer.
It's summertime and it's time to do more outdoors. But do you feel out of energy, lacking motivation and mental focus? It could be low testosterone. Low T affects millions of men and it happens naturally. The solution? Testosterone replacement therapy at Low T Center. I literally walk in, they check the level, and then I find out where I stand today. Right now at Low T Center, they are offering a free initial test. If you're over 30, schedule that visit at lowtcenter.com today.
Offer till July 31st. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm really excited to announce that Lisa, Trevor, and I just got back from market. We were in Las Vegas picking out all new things to show you guys. Brand new stock of gold earrings, fashion pieces. I mean, I can't even name everything that we saw that we cannot wait to show you guys. So come visit us at Bell Jewelers and see all the new pieces that we picked out for you. Bell Jewelers, 821 Northwest Broad Street, across from Toots.
Hi, this is Bob Cornell, pastor of Covenant Church right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. The answer that you've been looking for is found in Jesus and what he accomplished at the cross. You see, Jesus changes lives from the inside out. We would love for you to join us at Covenant Church, located at 1124 Brinkley Ave right here in Murfreesboro. We have services Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. and Tuesdays at 7 p.m. You can learn more about us at our Cornell Ministries YouTube channel. We want you to grow in Christ at Covenant Church.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by the law offices of John Day and AmeriCare Pest Control.
I've got pests.
AmeriCare is Rutherford County's #1 choice in pest control, and it's simple to see why. After calling 893-7111, their staff came to my house 8 years ago when I had an insect problem. They looked at the situation, showed me the areas and what they'd recommend to resolve the problem. After treatment and with quarterly checks, I'm bug, critter, and creepy crawly free. Thanks, AmeriCare.
Call the best of the best to get rid of your pest.
AmeriCare, 893-7111.
For over 77 years, you've depended on WGNS to let you know what's happening, and you still can. Take advantage of early voting. It continues through this Saturday. Don't let it slip away. Get out and vote. It's also the final week for the Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation Department's Movies Under the Stars. This is the final week. It's also the weekend to meet Aaron Chestnut at the Lineball Library. Aaron is the local author of the book Fight for Me. It's about a girl who thinks that she's nothing and a boy who knows that she is everything. Fight for Me, the local author book signing this Saturday from 10 until 2 at the Lineball Public Library. That's at 105 West Vine Street in Uptown Murfreesboro this Saturday. And this is the tax-free back-to-school weekend. Tennessee sales tax-free this weekend. Oh, and once again, we remind you this is the final weekend to take advantage of early voting. That continues through Saturday. Get out and vote. And for more Good Neighbor events, check our website, WGNSradio.com.
Rutherford weather.
We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms at times here this afternoon with cloudy skies, a high in the mid-80s. Tonight, chance for rain and storms, cloudy, a low near 69. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS.
Currently, it's 73.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, MTE Sharing Change is funded by members who round up their electric bills to the nearest dollar each month as a donation and support hundreds of local nonprofits. Find out more at sharingchange.org.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
And good morning and welcome back to the second segment of Tuesday Mornings with Rick and Wayne. And it's been our honor and our pleasure this morning to have former state representative Donna Barrett, and also your election commission for the state.
Correct.
And also you, the regional solid waste board. Of course, I'm sat in awe of watching many of those meetings with all that you were able to discern from all the things that were going on. But I think this next segment we're going to talk more about the election commission, because that's hot topic right now.
It is a hot topic right now. Let me get in before we get into the details. Early voting is going on right now. It goes on through July 27th, so please get out and vote. We have our elections, state primaries, county generals, and city generals. Races going on right now through with August 1st being the election day. So if you've not taken advantage of that right that we have, please get out and exercise it.
Amen.
I hear numbers are down for some reason in Rutherford, and we got some hot races going on right now, primary races, and it just surprises me with the numbers down like they are.
Numbers are down, and I don't know if everyone's holding off, especially with all the uproar that's going on a federal level.
That's right.
Just to see what happens, because every day is bringing some new bit of information.
Hourly,
one way or the
it
other.
seems like, isn't it?
Hourly, yes, absolutely. So maybe everyone's just holding off and waiting to see what the end result is on July 31st to make sure their vote counts.
That's right.
Good point.
Yep.
But to your question, or to your response, Wayne, I do serve on the State Election Commission. I've served on that since 2014. It is a 7-member board, bipartisan, that for part of our responsibility, we appoint the local election commissioners. So in my case, it's the Ransom Jones, Felicia Hicks, and Mr. Reeves, that are on there here in Rutherford County representing the Republican side. And then not only do I have Rutherford County, I have about 28 other counties in Tennessee that I am responsible for appointing the local election commissioners. We also approve the election equipment that is purchased in Tennessee. Every state is different when it comes to elections, slightly. There are some overall universal rules and regulations governing elections, but each state has its own sovereignty, and we get to do things our way. I'm pleased to say that Tennessee ranks #1 in election integrity. The Heritage Foundation has ranked us, comparing us to all the other states, and one of the things that helps us with that is the State Election Commission reviews and approves all the election equipment that is purchased in the state of Tennessee. And we don't allow any piece of election equipment, whether it is a voter book, whether it is a voting machine, to come into Tennessee unless it is tested in another state. And we will send a Republican and a Democrat representative to that state to an election of similar size and watch that equipment be deployed in that state. And I've had the privilege to do that now since I was elected in 2000 or appointed in 2014. Unfortunately, I missed most of our elections here in November because I'm either in Indiana or Kentucky or somewhere viewing election equipment. But we're not going to be the guinea pig in Tennessee. It's going to be tried, true, and tested, and be unhackable.
That seems to be the big thing now because of all the cyber attacks and the ransomware. That how do we keep our election from being hacked?
In our case, it's very simple. They're not connected to the internet. There is no capability for our voting machines, the vote you cast, to be transmitted over the wires or the cloud or anything like that to anywhere else. All that comes down and gets put on a flash drive or drive at the end of the night from each machine, and it is hand taken to the election commission and put into a tabulation machine there, and everything is then culminated and the results come from that. You get the results the night of the election, posted at each voting precinct. That's right. So you can, and so that's one checks and balances, and then the elections are certified 10 days later, which means they're revisited and reviewed and made sure that the number of sign-ins match the number of votes, or spoiled ballots if somebody messes up one. So the checks and balances are there here in Tennessee. We don't allow drop boxes. I have to tell a funny on that. Not a funny. It actually was quite shocking. We were touring out west and stopped in this little town we stopped in Sedona, and it was election time. We pulled off the main drag into this gravel parking lot, and we're walking to go to some of the shops, and sitting in the middle of this gravel parking lot with no lock, no camera, nothing, was a ballot drop box.
Wow.
I was just shocked. And I had to take a picture and ask what it was, because I've never seen them, because we don't have them in Tennessee. If you want to bring in a ballot, you have to mail it in. You can't just walk in and hand it to our election officials. It has to be mailed through the Postal Service. We don't have ballot harvesting. What I mean by that is no third-party group, however well-intended they are, can go gather up a bunch of ballots and bring them in. We don't allow third-party monies, to come into our local election offices. Any money that they spend has to be allocated from the state of Tennessee, approved by the Secretary of State's office. So, and I know there are situations throughout the nation where things are questionable. I've just mentioned several of them, but we don't have them here in Tennessee. And I'm so very proud of Tennessee for that. We work very hard to make sure our elections are safe. Our administrators and our local election commissioners are afforded annual training. The administrators have to attend it. I've attended it with them, and I can tell you it is strenuous. Our Secretary of State and our election coordinator make sure that they're up to speed on all the new laws that take place. And then it's wonderful to see our administrators get together in a room and share best practices. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying they make their own rules and procedures, but they can say, hey, this didn't quite work, or if you change your structure or your layout this way, you'll get a better flow, or we found this works best. They're very good about sharing best practices and going, don't try that. We've been there, done that. It's not going to work. So we've got a good team all across the 95 counties that are here, and we've been tested and proven on a national level. So I'm very, very proud of our elections.
This morning, our guest is Ms. Donna Barrett, who is a former state rep and now serves on the state election board, and we'll probably get into solid waste here in a little bit. Explain how absentee ballots are handled.
Good question, and we actually have a deadline coming up for that. July 25th, so in a couple of days now, will be the deadline for requesting an absentee ballot. Those are not automatically sent out. You have to request an absentee ballot. Now, anybody over 65, just by age, can request it without reason. My husband's flinching over here. I think so. Wayne maybe too, but I'm not going to get in trouble, any more trouble than that.
Hey, I'm there.
But that's just Tennessee state law. And remember, some of these laws were written back when you retired at 62 and life wasn't much past that. Much before all of y'all's time. However, nonetheless, 65, you can request an absentee ballot just by sheer age. In any other situation, you have to have a reason, an illness, be out of town during voting time period, or in case of our military, they're overseas. So we have real strict rules for receiving an absentee ballot in various situations. And those laws were passed before we had early voting. So when I talk about being out of town, that's out of town on Election Day, even though now we have the conveniences of early voting that takes place 2 weeks or more in front of the election. So you request an absentee ballot. Then a ballot is sent to you. So it's a two-step process. That ballot is filled out, and you sign the back of the envelope and send it in. That signature is then compared to your signature on file for it to be considered an accurate, valid ballot to be counted. Does that help? And they have to be postmarked. They have to be in the election office by Election Day.
Are they counted that night?
They are counted that night. Okay. Every absentee ballot that comes in is secured until Election Day. Our counting board comes in early that morning. They are sequestered into a room, no cell phones. Both parties are represented, and they spend the day counting ballots. And they will stay there until the ballots are counted. There's no, we're going to stop at midnight and head home. Now, they're normally through before the polls close at 7, but they stay there until that, and those numbers are not released until the polls are closed and the last person in line has voted. That way there is no getting information out as to what the election results are looking like. Everything is held until the polls are closed.
And I think most people just assume that the machines connected with the election commission, and that, you know, the numbers went straight to the county or the municipality. But you got to wait for that flash drive to get from the polling station back to the election commission so it can be counted.
That is true. Now, a lot of times the candidates will know those numbers beforehand because they've got somebody at every poll, and they're calling them in.
They post them.
Trust me, after a long day of campaigning and nail biting and waving, you're ready to get some news one way or the other. Put me out of my misery. So normally we as candidates and elected officials know those numbers early, but they're not official numbers until they come into the election commission.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Listen to Donna Barrett. We're going to take our second break, and hopefully we'll talk trash when we come back for the last segment there.
One in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at easterseals.com.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
At Middle Point Landfill, we strive to serve our neighbors.
This county is willing to put themselves out there and take some new initiatives.
Mike Clausen, General Manager of the Middle Point Landfill.
We want to transform Middle Point into a sustainability campus where we are building recycling facilities. We're building cutting-edge diversion facilities.
Middle Point values its relationship with you, which is why we never tire of serving our neighbors throughout Rutherford County.
Learn more at middlepointlandfill.com.
This is Kim Dunaway from Sunshine Nutrition Center. You hear me on Monday mornings at 7:20 talking about how to lead a healthier lifestyle. We carry supplements, personal care, and grocery items at both our Murfreesboro and Smyrna locations, family owned and operated since 1989.
At Bud's Tire Pros, we sell all major brands of tires, and we invite you to stop by today for that next set of tires. Or maybe you need us to check out your vehicle before you head out of town. We offer everything from brakes to batteries, alignments, and more. No appointments necessary, just stop on by.
I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
If you want to get some barbecue, I'll tell you how to do it. Head for the Slick Pig and you're into it. Just walk through the door at 1920 East Main and your nose will send a message right to your brain. Say, smells good, and barbecue. Slick Pig. We got ribs and beans, got spicy wings. Slick Pig.
A Murfreesboro tradition, 1920 East Main.
This is Pastor Nikki Ajapong, lead pastor of Holy Hill Chapel.
Hear our sermons on WGNS Sunday night at 7:30.
Our sermons are loaded with the keys of the kingdom. If you don't have the keys, you'll be stranded.
Visit holyhillchapeltn.org to hear our podcast.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
And welcome back to the third and final segment of Tuesday Mornings with Rick and Wayne. And again, it's been our honor and our pleasure to have former State Representative Donna Barrett, who also serves on the State Election Commission and the Regional Solid Waste Board. And I think this third segment, we decided we might talk a little trash. Solid waste, of course.
I was going to say, I think that's what we've been talking the whole time, haven't we?
Well, promise so. Well, at least that last segment. But having served on Public Works, I was in awe of your stature on the regional solid waste board. You brought so many things to light that so many of us didn't have a clue about. So thank you. You were amazing.
You're welcome, and chalk it up to the fact that I'm a geek and I like to read. The committee I've been serving on now for I think 3 years. Then Mayor Ketron asked me to put my name in the hat for that and fill a vacancy we had on that board, and I was honored to. I should have looked at it a little further before I agreed to it. But we have the Central Tennessee Solid Waste Board, and it's a board that started 30 years ago, and its time was right then. For a bit of a history lesson, 30 years ago here in Tennessee, we had open burn pits. If we think back long enough, we all can probably remember the city dump, where you just, in any town, you'd back up and dump the truck, and it was just an open burn pit that, they kept it going. And if you lived in the county, well, then it was worse than that. It was just the gully somewhere along a holler that things got dumped in. Yes, let's not tell Darren Gore anything about sinkholes and trash. So 30 years ago, the state came in an attempt to keep from having some federal regulations put down on them, developed the regional boards, and put some guidelines in for landfills, so that we could correct the problems that we had and do some more some protection of the environment. And so the setup was good, and we fixed that immediate problem of the open burn pits. And then I think things just got quiet. Other fires, if you will, came to the forefront. Other issues were more pressing, and we thought we'd solve that problem. We fast forward 30 years, and we really haven't. What we've done is we've created a bigger problem. What we thought were going to be landfills for individual communities have now turned into regional landfills and mountains. And things coming in from other states, materials coming into the landfill that we didn't know about, either on a county or state level, and things we don't want here. So now comes not only a need environmentally to do something, but a community outcry to do something. The community outlook on things has changed. Recycling has become more fashionable. Composting, anything but burying it, forgetting about it, has now become the community outcry, and that's what I'm trying to do.
I remember I guess it's probably a little over a year ago, I drove up to, I guess we were in Smithville or McMinnville. I think it was McMinnville. Y'all had a board meeting up there, and it was a lot of the county commissioners that went, and I know during my time on the commission and Wayne's both, we were trying to tackle that and ideas and took tours. I remember I was on from 2007 to 2010, and we had sent some people to South Carolina to look at other ways and things that we might be able to do. So we had the old county dump that sits behind where Middle Point is now, and we had that land, and we knew, so is there something we could do to mitigate this somehow? And it became down to cost, and I think that's why it's always, I hate to say it, but kicking the can down the road a little bit because of the cost of what this thing's going to look like. And But that McMinnville thing, that was a pivotal meeting, if I remember correctly, because I think Middle Point was basically wanting to go the same road they've always been. Let's expand it, make it bigger, and keep on going. And you guys turned that down on that meeting, right?
Correct. The Central Tennessee Regional Solid Waste Planning Board, or since that's such a mouthful, we just call it the board.
The board
has a couple of authorities that we're given by statute, and one of those is whether or not we approve an expansion or a creation of a new landfill. So in either situation, whether they want to expand or whether they want to put in a new landfill, we're that first board of review. If we deny it, as long as it is for good, sound reason, then it progresses no further. The state can't override our approval. And so it came before us. Middle Point wanted to expand onto 100 acres they already have. So that's considered an expansion, not a new landfill. We still have the authority to review that. And in reviewing that proposal, we decided that it was not in line with what our state plan is for the region. And that is to serve, part of that is to serve the region, which is Rutherford, Coffee, Cannon, and Warren counties. And so we passed that. Middle Point sued us, and we went to court, had our court date last year. I think it was about last August. We were successful in that and won, and the courts upheld our ruling and said that our documentation was correct and that we had sound reasoning for denying that. Middle Point has appealed that decision, and we are expecting to have oral arguments in that appeal hopefully within the next 30 days, and then for the judge to make his decision based after that. I'm hoping and expecting another win, and then from there we get to move forward with some other proposals and things that we have ready to present.
I noticed on WGNS the landfill manager said that the landfill had a life expectancy now of 4 years. I think that's what was reported on WGNS. But that estimation has, in the last 10 years, seems to be going from one end of the spectrum to the other. So, I don't know if 4 years is correct or not.
The number of years keeps changing.
Okay.
It has during the whole time we've had this discussion, Wayne, from the meetings you've sat in on with us. So what I do know is that if we, as a community, implement things we need to, more utilization of our convenience centers, our recycling centers, if we take that effort to recycle, to compost, to do the things other than burying it, forgetting about it, we as a community can make a difference on that.
Yes,
my husband and I have just gotten back from an international trip, and we've toured very many places throughout the world to see, and one of our stopping points is always to see how they're handling their trash. I think a third of my pictures from those is always trash cans and recycling efforts. And I bring those back and show them, Wayne. I think you've been at some of the meetings where I've put up pictures and said, this is how the international community is responding. And this is how we can make this happen here with community buy-in. If you make the options available, the community will take advantage of it. You just have to have the buy-in. And Rick, you brought up the times touring other places, the McMinnville facility. There's one in Sevierville. I've looked, and there's lots of choices. Mm-hmm. It can be overwhelming, and it can so much decisions to make that indecision just paralyzes you. We can study this thing to death. What we have to do is start. If it's not the right way and we need to improve it, we'll do that. But you can't sit here and go, well, when we get the right plan, we'll do that. Or we can't do that. We've got the opportunity here with our convenience centers. We're actively working to make sure we have end users where the recycling goes to, instead of it going to a recycling, a convenience center, and then just back out to Middle Point.
That's exactly right.
I've heard many people tell me we've got a mix in the community. You've got those that say, yes, I'll recycle. I want to do that. I want more options. Then you've got those who'll say, I'm not going to do it until the city tells me to do it or the county tells me to do it. Then I'll do it. Fine. Let's all buy into this and move forward. One of the other things, we talk about the length of time left on the landfill. One of the other things that my board has the statutory ability to do is flow control. And we passed that law also, that Providence practice, and by us passing it, it becomes a rule and enforceable. So what flow control is, it allows us as a region to limit any of the trash going into public or private landfills in our region to only trash from the region. So technically, the trash going into Middle Point landfill, starting as of last year, should have only been Rutherford, Cannon, Coffee, and Warren.
That's right.
Middle Point has ignored that. We have now taken it to the state. The state is the enforcement division of that, and we are actively trying to gain their support in that enforcement. Hopefully, when we get through this lawsuit on the first case with the appeal of the lawsuit on the landfill expansion, we can reunite and dedicate our forces to enforcing that as well, which, if we limit it to only those 4 counties, then you're going to see a longer lifespan on it. If we limit what we're putting in there, and it's easy to do. My husband has been very, very supportive in our efforts at home. We literally have 7 bins, and metal, glass, plastic, cardboard, specialty paper, things that I can take to Publix, food, styrofoam, and Goodwill. Those are our boxes. I even have a compost machine that I can turn scrap into dirt in 6 hours.
That's pretty cool.
That is awesome. This wasn't long enough to talk trash. You got to come back.
Yeah.
Really do. Our hours got up on us now, but
God bless you for your efforts. You've been an amazing leader, and of course, Rick and I have been looking forward to you and Mr. Barrett coming and being with us. And thank you so much, Donna.
You're welcome.
That's probably the only time I'll ever call you by your first name. It'll always be either Representative or Mrs. Barrett. So
Donna works fine. Of course, I'm also used to when you're in trouble with your parents, the middle name always comes in. So I always know when that's called, I'm in trouble.
That's exactly right. But thank you for, again, like you said, being with us with topics and what you serve with are very important to not only Tennessee, but Middle Tennessee especially. And we appreciate everything you do for us here.
My pleasure. Thank you both.
Yeah. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed the show, and hopefully we'll get her rescheduled and have her come back in and talk trash more. That's a big topic for us, but hope you have a good week and enjoy the rain we have today. And I'm sure Brian will go into that in a few minutes, but have a great day, and we'll see you next week.